Council, a- and we record it. And then we start off with sorry, I'm reading my screen. So we start off with introductions. And so I'll just call you out, and if you could just say who you are and who you're with, um, and that would be great. So I'll start with Giselle.
Oh, I'm Giselle Nova. I am the coordinator for the Fire Safe Council of Siskiyou County. Good evening, everybody.
Thank you. Kevin?
Yeah, good evening, everybody. My name is Kevin Mancebo, CAL FIRE Siskiyou Unit, Assistant Chief of Hazard Mitigation.
Thanks. Greg?
Greg Dinger, Manchester West.
Thank you. Kenneth, I'm gonna get your name wrong, but Scherer?
No, you got it. Sure. That's good.
Sure. Okay.
Yes, I'm the executive director of the Biochar Coalition, project designer and project implementator.
Okay, thank you. Oh, and the one thing I forgot to ask, when you are speaking, we appreciate it if you put your camera on. It's easier to see you and relate if we have a person that's behind the screen. So then next, Tabor.
Tabor Teach Out. I'm president of Biochar Coalition and was invited to speak to you guys about biochar and what we're doing.
Great, thank you. Emily?
Howdy, Emily Acer. I'm a project coordinator with the Trinity County Fire Safe Council.
Thanks, Emily.
Yeah.
Good to have you back.
Yep.
Julie?
Julie Titus, I'm currently working on 2 CWPP projects with Proactive Wildland Resources, small team.
Greg? You're muted, Greg.
Muted myself. Hi, everybody. I'm Gregory Randazzo. I am a program coordinator working for CORE, working alongside the Fire Safe Council on the Community Wildfire Defense Grant.
Thank you. And Christine Holst?
Yeah, Christine Holst. I work for the U.S. Forest Service out of the McLeod office on the Shasta Trinity National Forest as a fuels tech.
Thanks. Luna?
Hi, Luna Latimer. I work for the McClamath Watershed Council, which is the host for the Happy Camp Fire Safe Council and the Fire Safe Council in Soames Bar.
Thanks. Anna Perry?
Hi, I'm Anna. I work for the Shasta Valley Resource Conservation District as a forestry and fuels project manager.
I'm taking notes. Sorry for this, for the length of time. Paul Kleinfelter?
Yeah, hi, I'm Paul Kleinfelter, and I work for Mid-Klamath Watershed Council in Happy Camp.
Madeline Murine?
Yeah, Madeline, and I am a Quartz Valley landowner resident. And I can't figure out the camera thing, sorry.
Okay. Carolyn?
Yeah, I'm Carolyn Napper. I'm on the Fire Safe Council board.
Joseph?
Yeah, hi, everybody. This is Joseph Hott with Black Mountain Fire Safe Council.
All right. Jen?
Hello, I'm Jen Erickson. I'm with the Klamath National Forest in Wairika as the Forest Fire Prevention Officer.
Great job, too. Peter Rodiger?
You got it. Hi, everyone. I'm Peter Rudiger, biochar secretary and fire practitioner in Mendocino County.
Thanks. Joanne?
Hi, my name's Joanne Johnson. I'm a project coordinator for Siskiyou County Administration. My camera's off just because I'm driving.
Okay. Ruby? Oh, thanks. Ruby?
Hi everyone, my name is Ruby. I am the finance manager for the Fire Safe Council of Siskiyou County.
Thanks, Ruby. And Marlena?
Hi, yeah, I'm Marlene Ludlow, and I'm, you know, I'm a homeowner in Mount Shasta, and I want to say I couldn't get on. I was trying to connect to the Zoom meeting connection that the one that was sent out in my email, and nothing happened. So I don't know if that happened with anybody else or not. I finally got on Facebook and clicked onto there and I got on, but I couldn't get on the email one. So I don't know if anybody's having that problem or not.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Oh, Luna said that happened to her too.
Right. So
Huh.
we will check it out. We had a little difficulty with emails this evening too with information sharing. So we'll look into that. Thank you, Marlene.
Sure.
There is a little bit of a workaround on that. You just copy that web URL, that site, and copy it into your browser, and it came up because the same thing happened to me.
Okay. We'll go into speakers tonight. We'll first start with the Biochar Coalition. And I just want to say the background for Tabor, I love that background on your screen. That's great. So I don't know who's in order of speaking tonight for you guys, so I'll just let you take it from here.
Right. So I'll go ahead and start off. What you see behind me is an inside view of a ring of fire biochar kiln, and you can see on the one side of me we got the flame. This is the combustion. So this is the volatile oils that are becoming a flame, and on the other side of me you'll see the black carbon, and that's the charcoal. That's what we're trying to get after. And so what I'm here to hopefully explain is what biochar is and how it can be utilized and implemented into landscapes, but also how it's a benefit to reducing our fire fuels production. Now, there's multiple ways to make it, and basically any burn circumstance can manifest biochar. So if you have an existing burn pile and you ignite it, you can end up with biochar. The kiln, however, for us is a containment that's incredibly safe. It's also able to be oh yeah, Ken is actually sharing a screen so that we can see some time lapses of the kiln in use. And so what it is it's a cylinder of steel that contains the heat. And so the heat will radiate within to that kiln, which means the temperatures can get up to 1200 degrees very fast and sustain that heat while you keep adding more wood to it. And as you add wood to it, the flame actually consumes the smoke because the high temperature can maintain the combustion of flame. Flame is what consumes the smoke. The bright white of the flame is the consumption of oxygen. So because the only way in for oxygen into the fire in the kiln is from the top of it. So if you have a flame, this is called a flame cap kiln. And if you have a flame on the cap, the flame consumes the oxygen, keeping the temperature high, which means the oxygen can't get into the bottom of the kiln. And the bottom of the kiln will have a development of charcoal forming. And because the flame is maintained by feeding more wood into it, the oxygen never reaches the charcoal, and the charcoal continues to build up in volume. And then ultimately the flame dies down, and then we apply water to it. Over 350 degrees, carbon bonds with oxygen and forms carbon dioxide. So when we quench the charcoal to less than 350 degrees, preferably using water, but factually able to be done with just dirt, when you bring the temperature to less than 350 degrees, the carbon is black and crystallized and can no longer evaporate into carbon dioxide. So it's a measurable solid volume of carbon. So the charcoal is 95% carbon molecules And inside of those cell chambers is the 5% ash mineral content that would have otherwise been left behind if the red hot coal sits at 600 degrees. If that red hot coal is allowed to sit there at the end of a burn event, it is allowed to combust or convert into carbon dioxide and leave behind the molecules of potassium and phosphorus as your ash formation. And when that ash sits in their pile and then the rain comes, the rain blends with the ash and becomes a lye solution, which is great if you're trying to make soap. However, a lye solution running down our watershed has caustic effects to the ecosystem and does not stop anywhere. It continues all the way to the ocean and adds desalinations to the ocean. So even though garden benefits from ash is true, the ash mineral inside a charcoal remains bioavailable in the surface level. So when you have a plant, the carbon is taken out of the air through living vegetation. The photosynthesis generates electricity and it pulls carbon out of the air and puts it into the sugar flow of the living plant. In the life cycle of all living plants, half of the carbon is ejected down into the soil as soil carbon for the mycorrhiza to exchange with it for water and nutrients. So the life cycle of the plant, in all the years it takes to grow, it inhales carbon dioxide and then ejects it, half of it, into the soil. But in the carcass remains of the plants above ground that are now dead and fire fuels of any age or size, that is now 50% carbon standing dead plant. Half of that carbon is the cell wall structure. The other half of the carbon is in the cellular sugar content. The sugar is what generates this flame behind my head. The burning hydrogen, oxygen, sugar, carbon, sulfur, everything that's in the sugars of the cells are what's combusting in the flame. And what remains in the black side is the charcoal. Those are the cell walls, the structure of the plant. So there's potentially 25% carbon structure, cellular, that can be saved as the carbon walls and is qualified as charcoal. And charcoal can be qualified as biochar if it is able to receive and absorb water. If there's still volatile oils in it, it cannot absorb water. So if that charcoal is smoking or flaming, it's not biochar, it's just charcoal. Now, the reason we call it biochar is it's able to receive water and therefore it's able to receive biology. So when the charcoal spread across the landscape, it's just porous hollow cells with nothing in it except for the water we added when we quenched it with water to cool it down. But it was designed by nature to hold water and nutrients. So by spreading it across the landscape, when it rains, it absorbs the water. If the rain is merging with nutrients on the landscape, it absorbs the nutrients in the water and then it sucks it into the charcoal. So we deal with charcoal with primarily production using fire fuels reduction. These are fuels that are unwanted. These are dead standing trees that are termite infested. The way a tree decomposes also generates carbon dioxide and methane. When termites eat the plants, they consume it and make methane and generation and compost, and all of that's great for soil structure. But when we carbonize it into charcoal, it can no longer decompose nor evaporate. It can only shrink into smaller pieces. Charcoal can be used as a filter. That's what is used in Brita. That is how water filtration takes place. So when you apply it to a landscape, you end up having a filtration of your landscape so that water can actually be filtering out and nutrients are being absorbed into it. So you can use this for gardens and benefits in that direction. If you're going to use it to gardens, it needs to be an enriched, and that's a whole nother subject. But in this circumstance, we're here to discuss about fire fuels reduction. So you can do a burn pile and get 10% charcoal out of the 25 that was available. Utilizing a kiln, you can get 20%. So that's twice as much. There was only 25% available, but we can't get all of that because it's an open air flame. It's combustion. Some ash does form. Some smoke may form too. But if you have a high flame burn, you have low smoke production. If you were to do a burn pile, you ignite it on the top. By igniting on the top of the pile, the flame will consume any smoke that develops below in the bottom of the pile. If you ignite it on the bottom of the pile, the heat rises up and slowly dries out the wood and starts to generate smoke before flame. many piles are visible from miles away because they bellow smoke all day long. But if you burn properly, you don't need to make much smoke. By igniting at the top of the pile, the whole pile will become into full combustion much faster and form a bunch of charcoal red hot on the ground. The next mistake that's been made with above ground piles is people have this tendency to then add wood. We advocate to no longer add wood. Once you've ignited the pile, stop adding wood. This is above ground, no kiln. You don't add any more wood because any wood you add is cold, and cold wood needs to be generated into heat in order for it to combust smoke before flame. And as you apply cold wood to a bed of coals, it's slowly going to start smoking. You're going to generate more smoke all day. That's what those piles usually are. And it takes a while to get to flame combustion. Once you have flame combustion, that's great. But meanwhile, the bed of coals underneath that generated the heat to get that, those are all going to ash, and you're losing all of that charcoal production. So you're going to get 2 to 5% charcoal if you continually feed the pile, but you can get 10 to 12% if you don't add any more wood and just quench it once it's done. The way to get to 12% is use a pitchfork, remove any incomplete sticks from a pile that's no longer smoking, no longer flaming, remove the pieces that are smoking, that are flaming, and set them to the side. They will get back into a flame combustion. Meanwhile, you can quench that circle, that pile of just black charcoal, get the red hot coals to stop going gray by adding water and get it to go black. And now rake it out thin so that it's not radiating heat, because then it'll just recombust. It will no longer make flame or smoke, but it will convert to gray ash. And that's the goal, is to reduce ash production because it's not beneficial to the watershed anywhere, and to create more charcoal production because it actually retains water in the soil, which means the next generation of grasses and vegetation and brush and trees have access to water retention in the soil that will wick back out in. So you can actually be improving the ecosystem and building soil in our landscape by creating charcoal and doing these fuels reduction into charcoal instead of ash. Do we have any questions at this point, or should I keep going? But so the kiln, to show you, the kiln here is just a cylinder. There's no bottom. There's just steel walls. It actually has 2 steel walls. The outer steel wall is so that it's safe for us to stand beside it to continue to feed it. In an above ground pile, I ask you not to add any more wood because I want your maximum char potential. But with the kiln, we start it the same way. Once you get a bed of coals at the bottom of the kiln, then you can continue to add wood, and you can add wood all day. It takes me about 5 hours to get this kiln full of charcoal. And a 6-panel kiln, this is a Ring of Fire model. One kiln will produce 3 cubic yards of charcoal when it's full, and 3 kilns equals 1 metric ton of carbon that's retained as charcoal. That carbon is emissions avoided. So 1 ton of carbon emissions avoided is 3 tons of carbon dioxide emissions retained as charcoal. So we still emit carbon dioxide when we burn, but any measurable volume of charcoal is a measurable volume of carbon dioxide emissions avoided. Now, a 5-gallon bucket is equivalent to 5 pounds of carbon. So that 5-gallon bucket, 5 pounds of carbon, is the equivalent to the emissions of 1 gallon of gasoline. And it's 6 pounds for diesel and 4 pounds for propane. We don't need any of those fuels to operate the kiln other than the fuel to drive us there. I can put the kiln on the roof of my car. It is like 3x3 steel panels, and I use straps to hold it down. So this is a very mobile technology, the flame cap kiln, and you actually don't need to purchase a kiln. Though it is available from Tartar Parts, you can order one in 2 weeks. It'll be delivered to anywhere in the world. It's manufactured in Kentucky as the Ring of Fire kiln. That's the model that we currently use. However, you can use a shovel and dig an earthen pit of any depth. It really depends about the volume of biomass that you have. The challenge of an earth dug pit, if you have any wood or tree or root, you cannot use the pit for fear of igniting the tree. So you have to have a safe clay environment, and you can't move the pit. But if you have a home base, a farm, a pit is viable because you can empty it with charcoal and reuse it over and over. But with these kilns, these Ring of Fire kilns, what some Firewise communities have been doing is actually pooling together and buying a kiln for a community, for a neighborhood, and then you share the kiln annually to burn your biomass fuels. This could also be orchard prunings and garden stalks. Any dry biomass can be converted into charcoal by merely retaining an oxygen reduced environment. And they do that with the flame cap, because the flame on the lid consumes any incoming oxygen, which means the red hot coals sit at the bottom until you can bring the temperature down. And we do that quickly with water and raking it out. And any sticks that still emit smoke or still emit flame are not complete biochar. They're just charcoal, and it's not actually going to be biochar until you get biology in it. But if it's able to absorb water, it's able to absorb biology. And if you rake it out on the landscape in 3 years on its own, there's going to be enough insects and birds and lizards and other rodents that'll manure and urine in the landscape that'll enrich the charcoal. But having it in the soil, immediately it's able to absorb rainwater and hold that rainwater without any organic use. Personally, the charcoal is just a negative polarity magnet, and so it attracts positive ions. Nitrogen is a positive ion, so it attracts it quickly and holds 17 times. So it holds 17 times its mass in nitrogen, which is highly valuable to any landscape for vegetation. But it's also can be used as chunky charcoal into erosion management. So what we then do is we bring with us a roll of fabric that's a tube that makes wattles. And so you can stuff the charcoal on site and fill it into a wattle and then drape that wattle through any erosion point or any pollution point. So we're using mines here out in Nevada County. There's a lot of gold mines and there's a lot of pollution in those mines. And so we're using the wattles as a means to help filter the water. So if you have a cesspool, a lagoon, a puddle of barn drippings that are leaching into a pond, you can make a wattle or pillowcase full of charcoal, set it into the pond, set it into the water. It'll actually act like a reverse tea bag, and it'll suck the nutrients out of the water into the charcoal. And then when you remove the charcoal bag, you're removing its nutrients from the water. High nutrient waters, what's create high algal blooms. So to remove the nutrients, remove some of those algal growths that aren't wanted. So I've driven through Siskiyou County because I have friends and board members and business partners that live up there. We have a company called On-Site Biochar Services, which will actually go on site and provide the services or rent the kilns. We only rent kilns to trained technicians. And so our nonprofit Biochar Coalition does, well, what I'm doing right now, which is educating anybody they can about what biochar is and how simple it is we can make it and how we can use it. But On-Site Biochar Services can actually come perform it. So the nonprofit Biochar Coalition can do training so we can teach people how to become certified to operate these kilns. And you can buy a kiln, but just having a kiln doesn't make it run efficiently. You can have a kiln that burns smoke and ash all day as well. The technicians using it make a difference. Now, I'm aware in Wairika, you guys have what's called an air curtain burner or a burn boss, and it's a fixed location, and it's on the south end of Wairika. There's a treatment facility where they're burning biomass essentially, but they're also putting wet leaves in there. And when I drove by, it's bellowing smoke all day long. So they designed those incinerators to basically turn everything to ash. But if you reduce the air fan and you manage the feedstock, you can actually convert a lot of that biomass, even inside of an air curtain burner technology. You can convert it into a higher level of our volume of biochar. And the more biochar we create, the more sequestering we're doing for our environment, because we're reducing carbon dioxide emissions from a burn circumstance. But it's also exponential, its benefits, not only to the forest landscape, but to roads. We could be incorporating it into asphalt and actually repairing roads. We put them on pathways, high traffic landscape zones for livestock, around water troughs. There's a lot of places where biochar can be incorporated into ecosystems and system services support. So I came here today to try to help everybody understand that biochar is something you can be making with or without a kiln. Using above ground burn piles is plenty adequate. The key is to make sure it's not flaming, it's not smoking, and make sure it's black and not going gray, which is the formation of ash. And if you rake it out thin across the landscape, it takes care of itself. It filters on its own. It has a limited volume. It can only hold so much. So making more every year is a solution. And what we also experience, because the kiln walls radiate the heat, we can actually double the rate with which we can burn. So you can burn a lot faster. You can burn more material in a shorter period of time. So instead of having 5 burn piles, you can take all burn piles by putting a kiln in between them, feed all the piles into the kiln, and convert them all in one day in one pile with a doubled volume of charcoal at the end. A safer work environment, a smaller burn scar. Because the kiln actually has steel walls, it prevents the heat from going sideways, but having the charcoal bed build up on the bottom means it insulates the heat from the ground. So the grass can grow up through a kiln site, where a burn scar from an open burn can actually be a sphere of heat that can not only scar and burn the leaves of trees and the bark and branches of around, but can also ignite and burn the soil underground, reducing soil microbe life. So that's my intro summary to how to make biochar and what it is. And I think Ken shared some time-lapse videos while I talked, so you can kind of see in action the volume of biochar that can be put into a kiln. And not all the videos did the camera make it to the end to see the raking out of the charcoal.
And we can make about 2 to 3 or 4 yards, depending on how many panels you're putting. The kiln is modular, so if you have a lot of biomass, you can just add more panels. And they're very light, very mobile, and we're always looking for new fabricators who want to make these kilns, because this could be a really great service entry level, like welding job or manufacturing for the community, where that could be like a CAL FIRE grant or what have you, to increase capacity and increase the businesses for woody products, because this is a woody product. Biochar is a product. We're creating something that's going to be utilized in the landscape for thousands of years, as long as we know, as a lot of this carbon lasts for thousands if it's made properly. So that's why we as an organization, we've created the certification programs and the training, because we've been out here for now 5 years, really dialing in, experiencing the pitfalls and the challenges and the permitting. And that's what we offer to most fire safe councils and whatnot, is to speed, increase the speed at which they can deploy
And safety.
biochar.
We also, so we've done a workshop so far in Siskiyou County in Hornbrook, and we also did one in Mount Shasta. And one of our members lives up in Hornbrook, so we're willing to do more workshops up in your community to get the hands-on demonstration of the kiln, to get some fuels reduced in your community, and to get you to give training out. Like, we're a nonprofit. If there's money available to channel to this, great. We're a nonprofit. We can accept money. But if there isn't money, we're not attached. We still want to share the information. So like, this is a voluntary lecture, but if you want to turn this lecture into a workshop in your community, you can reach out to us. You can find us at our website, biocharcoalition.org. You can find us on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, all the social platforms, and try to coordinate with us. We'd be happy to create an event again, replicate an event in the community near where you guys are, to get more hands-on experience and training. And like I said, we have a training program, which you can get trained for free by coming to the workshops and just really asking questions. And we have a worksheet to fill out to see what do you know and what do you need to know to get you trained to understand how this kiln can be added to any burn circumstance. But burn piles are a viable method to make biochar. And so any burn pile does not need to be bellowing smoke, nor does it need to be producing ash. But what makes the difference is the user. So if you guys would rather have workshops on how to do top-down burning, because kilns are not something you want to haul around, then we can help you to work with existing burn plans to try to reduce the smoke and reduce the ash. That's the real overlapping goal and vision here. And if there's any questions, otherwise we shouldn't take up all your time. I know you have more to do.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
let's
I have
take
a
up all the
question.
time you need. So
Okay.
is that Joseph?
No, it's Kevin here. I have a question I
Oh,
can't
there you
figure
are.
out on this platform. I'm lost like you were the other day, Jamie. I can't find the raise the hand thing. So
Just physically raise your hand. I'll see it.
so you actually answered a couple of my questions about it being modular and expanding. I'm somewhat intrigued. My question for you guys as a coalition, have you looked into the CAL FIRE workforce and development grants?
We have, but we just haven't had enough acreages and enough people to sign up on time and get an MOU with landowners. So that's just been the challenge. And if we're working with fire safe councils, it seems to be a lot easier because they're usually working with the RCDs or a PBA. So wherever that can fit in, we're willing to put the mileage in to get the Cal
Yeah,
Fire grant.
landowners can apply to NRCS also for funding to fund some of this behavior. And that's where we can come in as on-site biochar services to help perform the service that you guys get funding to do. And as soon as people show up, then we can have training happening at those sites.
Okay, thanks. I just want to make sure you guys were on the hunt there, and I'm glad you guys are already on the pursuit of that.
We are. We're just looking for more collaboration to make the Cal Fire grants because it's a big grant. I mean, they're big projects. So we're always like said, if you guys have landowners who are willing to sign up or you have spaces where you want the work done, we can make this in a massive training event to get people up to speed. So increasing capacity wherever.
Great. I'll be thinking. I got you guys written down. I actually tried to look up the Ring of Fire, and strangely enough, my agency's blocked that website, so I can't look at it. But
that's hilarious.
Oh, that's interesting.
I did have a quick question for you guys. Do you guys have any like printouts or anything like that we could even just go to your website and find them and print them out with like informational brochures or anything like that? Because we do like home assessments and stuff like that, and I'd love to share your guys' information with like private landowners and stuff like that.
I think that we do have some. I'm not sure if all of them are on our website, but we'll work on trying to get them all available on our website. The events page is really where you can find where activities are going, that where we're going to be. So if anybody has an idea of where they'd like to host an activity or an event, that would be where you can plan for scheduling. But if you look around, there's a reading tab. It just goes to all the books that we read. I'm a walking book report on the subjects. So those are the books that I read. But we will continue to try to make more media available on our website.
And Taylor, yes, we do have a education document center on our website. I just posted some links for you guys. So we do have some brochures, some trifolds.
So check the chat.
Yep, check the chat on our educational documents. If it's best to look at it on a computer, because it's not really mobile friendly at this point. Because documents, I don't know, they just run better on a computer. But we're working on that. But we'll get more documents uploaded, but those are our main documents that are on there right now.
Awesome, thank you.
I have some questions, but I want to make sure everybody else gets a chance to ask anything before, because I always have questions.
I just wanted to say one thing on that. They were talking about that they did a training in Hornbrook and Mount Shasta, and I just wanted to say that I was at the one that they did in Hornbrook, and I was so impressed with this kiln on so many different aspects of, like he was saying, how it doesn't put up any smoke. And another thing that I saw that was a 100% productive was that I can see that this would be such an awesome tool to get out there, especially when it becomes during that time of year, like right now, or early fall into almost spring, to where we would get a lot of less control burns that he was talking about that we do above ground without this kiln, that would help not getting so many escape control burns with this kind of a tool.
I'd like to touch on that a little bit. I'm sorry, I have some more questions, but we're working with prescribed burners right now to actually be a smoke mitigation. They're reducing those jackpot piles, and they're getting pretty big in some of these burns we're seeing. So we're trying to work with RX crews and Type 1 burn bosses so we can actually get this more dialed in. So there's some research and development that needs to go with making sure that these burns are less smoke and we're making more carbon. We call this char X. That's what we're trying to term it. So.
Okay, thanks. Julie, you had your hand up.
Yeah, real quick. I'm curious about sort of like the volume I mean, how quickly does it take for, and the Joe that saw it being done in Hornbrook, maybe you can pipe in too. But there's so many areas where we do a lot of burning where there's a lot of volume. So how much volume goes into that little the I mean, I don't know how little or big it is.
Okay, so
I saw it, but yeah.
The kiln is 6 panels, but it can be shrank as small as 4 panels, and it can be added on to. You can combine 2 kilns and make it 8 panels, and just have this massive cylinder. That's one strategy to deal with the volume available. As far as how much you can accomplish, the kiln, 6 panel kiln, can hold 3 cubic yards of charcoal, which is reduced 20% from the original biomass, which means that would be, 3 times 5 is 15 cubic yards of wood that was put into that kiln and shrunk down through the combustion. So you can have multiple kilns on either side of the piles, and so that you could actually be pulling the piles apart from different triangulated corners, and each kiln is going to be able to take 15 cubic yards. So you can also not fill the kiln. You might realize that after a few burns, oh wow, that's a lot less than I thought it was, when you see how much it shrinks down to. So that's where, if it's not a huge pile, the 4 panel kiln's almost faster because it radiates the heat in a smaller chamber, so it heats it up more quickly and efficiently, and you can combust it. The rate of it, I mean, I'm in 5 hours filling that thing with 3 cubic yards. So in 5 hours, I've put 15 cubic yards of brush that I have already spent hours prepping it for that purpose. And setting it up for a chipper shredder is perfectly set up for a kiln. It's able to grab it from the pile and hand feed it. Machine piled is more complicated to unhand pile it. But if it's a hand pile, it's hand unpiled. And so it's as fast as you can feed that kiln, it's going to convert. Because of the double wall, it keeps it safer in the environment outside the kiln for you to stand there and continually feed, which is when you really run into, if you have a whole lot of help, having more kilns is more advantageous, because with more kilns, everybody can be feeding a kiln. But once the kiln is heaping full of wood, you have to wait for it to simmer in and settle into the kiln, at which point you're taking a break, you're having your coffee, you're having some lunch, and then you go back to it and feed it another round and get it heaping again. But if you have multiple kilns, you get one heaping, and then you go step to the other kiln, get that one heaping. Now the first kiln is settling, so you can add more. So the rate of feed is about the rate of biomass and the amount of people you have. But in 5 hours, you can fill that kiln if you're focused. And that's 15 yards of material, if that helps you get a sense of the volume.
It's about 3 to 4 cords too, if you're doing split wood.
You can do split wood, yes.
Right.
Okay. Jen, you had your hand up. Question?
Yeah, I wanted to, and forgive me if you already talked about this, but I wanted to see what kind of work you've done with the air pollution control districts, and if you've found that you're able to get variances maybe on what might be a not great burn day as far as air quality is concerned.
Yeah, they're not quick to give out variances, but we've worked with a lot of counties. And so if any air quality has any resistance, you can reach out to us and we can connect them with other air districts. The biggest issue is that a lot of them wanted to call it a burn barrel, which it is not. That's one of the first issues. Now, I understand in Siskiyou counties, burn barrels are not banned. So you don't really have that issue. As far as they don't allow you to burn 3 days before a wind event for fear that your embers are going to float to your neighbor. We could technically burn in those days, but you would need a variance to burn in those days. So we tend to just practice. If it's an open burn day, we burn. So if you want to get a variance, you can. And the air qualities, once they're educated, if they haven't been, they're pretty much on board. And Ken also can speak a little bit on that. He's had some more experience with more air boards.
Yep, we actually, Butte County Air Board, their district, we were able to burn at compost facility, green waste facilities that are at their VOC limits because they knew that we burn a bit cleaner and that it's education based. So because we're a nonprofit, we're about education and training. We were able to get multiple variances in Butte County, but that's just one DARES district out of the, I think there's 5 of them or whatnot. So it's per basis, and if we can educate and get to them before the narrative or like someone else tells them about it, because everyone knows the burn bosses, they know about the tiger cats and whatnot, and so a lot of people are getting more affiliated with what pyrolysis and these machines and these apparatuses. So it's just getting to the air boards and the because we do LE5s. I mean, we got in Cal Fire coming to our burns where we did like an LE62, and they're like, "This isn't a 62, this is an LE5. What the hell are you guys doing?" And almost shutting us down. But they're like, "Oh wait, we see that this burn's going really great. Your apparatus is super contained." And they're just really excited like what we're doing, and then they just say, "Okay, let's just do it right here at LE5." So we've seen a lot of acceptance with fire professionals, and as long as we're doing our due diligence and we're informing them and showing what we're doing, we're not trying to hide. They're pretty much cool with everything. So, and LE7s were smoke mitigation plans, so it really helps to get certain things through. So we're just accenting, or what do you say, enhancing what's already being.
And if you organize an event with us, we encourage inviting them to the event because that's what we found has been working the best in Tehama County, Nevada County, El Dorado County, all those counties. We had the air quality there with us at the event, multiple events, and they keep coming back. They want to hear the questions people are asking. They want to see and understand what it is the device is because it's really simple tech. It reduces smoke by maintaining a high temperature to increase the flame potential. Any burn circumstance is going to bellow smoke unless it's a high enough heat to make flame. So that's where igniting on the top of a burn pile will consume most of the smoke of that pile. We are not smoke free, but we are incredibly low smoke. The difference in the air burners, the tiger cats, those can make some level of biochar, but they're technically incinerators and they were designed to make ash. So we are really wanting people to understand the differences of what they're trying to get because a tiger cat and a carbonizer, they're incredibly expensive compared to a ring of fire kiln. And the ring of fire kiln is really human scale. It's community scale. We can be sharing these kilns with each other, sharing the labor with each other, and ending up with really creating a community of clean or fire safe environment. And so if we can help you guys expand it in your communities, that's what we want to do. And so if you need help getting your air quality on board, then let's make an event and educate them. Otherwise, my guess is they've probably heard of us by now and they've approved us for burns already up in Siskiyou County.
See.
Thank you.
Okay, I've got a couple questions. You kind of already answered my first one, and that is how labor intensive is it? You mentioned you by yourself were there for 5 hours to do one. What is usually a good crew size for this?
We've trained up to 15 at a time. 3 people is really nice. 2 people is recommended because you can have one on either side of the kiln so that you don't have fire falling on the ground unwanted. I don't recommend anything by yourself, but it's possible. I've done it. Yes, it doesn't change the rate of the burn, so you still have a rate of feeding the kiln. So even with 3 people, it's going to take 5 hours to fill that kiln. But in that 5 hours, you're going to have a lunch break. You're going to have some sit down time because you're waiting for the kiln to catch up. But if you have multiple kilns, you can do the same size crew as long as everybody's able to walk to and see the kilns that are being managed. But we've trained up to 15. That's the largest crew we've done so far. But we want to see this grow and scale. I mean, we've written up some plans that included purchasing 10 kilns so that we could train them to operate them and then try it. We haven't yet had a job. We have 8 kilns. This is the most we've operated at once. But you spread them out 100 feet from each other, put them into safe places. We can bring water trailers to get the water to quenching, and we've dirt quench when we run out of water.
Okay, thanks. Well, one thing that was really impresses me, what you said, is that it doesn't kill the soil underneath.
Because it's
It's
insulating. The charcoal is an
yeah.
insulator as well as the ash is an insulator.
Because that's a big issue with burning of any kind is
Mhm.
how if you burn it hot, then you're killing the soil underneath. I've
Correct.
I've killed a bit of soil in my lifetime, so I just
We have actually excavated, when you rake out the kiln's charcoal, we have found newspaper on the bottom of the kiln that was there for ignition, for starting the fire. The newspaper was on the soil itself, and it didn't have enough oxygen to finish combustion, and it was still there at the end of the day.
that's fascinating. And
But
my next
directly
sorry.
above it is super hot. So it is
Mhm.
not recommended to put it directly under trees because you will dehydrate the branches directly above it. It can safely, underneath the height of some trees, not ignite the tree, but you can dry out a branch from the level of heat. Whereas an above ground open air pile, it is a sphere of heat in all directions, and all trees are scarred by that heat. In the kiln, it's a real cylinder straight up is where the heat goes. So you strategically place it for that purpose. You had
Okay.
another question.
Yeah, can you use burned fuel? So if in a fire scar area,
Burn
does it work?
fuels?
I mean, yes, burned trees,
Absolutely.
dead,
Yeah,
not just
we
dead
burn in
trees,
burn
but
scars
burned.
all the time. And that's
Okay.
great fuel because it's already dehydrated. It's already pretty much burned halfway. So we just go finish it up and make the carbon instead of making it into
Okay.
ash.
Okay. Thanks. Um, and then I didn't see anybody wearing PPE. So is that an issue with this?
That's a great question. The most dangerous thing about biochar that needs to be talked about is inhaling the black soot carbon. And when you rake out a kiln, and that's where a dirt quench is more risky because there's no water, water molecule sticks to that flour of airborne black, and the water will drop it to the ground instantly. So a mist of water is almost better than a stream. But if you are not careful, that black cloud that rises out of raking a bed of coals it will stick to your lungs on the inside. That's what causes black lungs disease for killed coal miners. So we are very vocal and announce, hey, hold your breath, and the cloud passes. That is single molecule carbon light enough to float in the air, but it will gravity fall down in 7 days, if not sooner, due to dew, moisture, rain, what have you. But it is dangerous and recommended for wearing face masks for the raking out phase specifically. And as far as operating the kiln, I use a plastic helmet. If it starts melting, I smell it. It's a warning, you're too close. But the screen in front of it for like a chainsaw, whether it's a plastic shield or a metal screen shield, it reduces the heat to your face so that I can look into the kiln to assess the conditions inside the kiln as far as, is there incomplete wood I need to fluff up to the surface? Is it ready for me to add more wood? Is it ready for me to add water? So I use a face shield to reduce the heat on my face, so that, because the kiln body will prevent my body from getting hot, but there's nothing above it. So I will wear a face shield to reduce the heat in my face, and I'll use a mask at the point of quenching to avoid inhaling charcoal, because that is the only dangerous part of biochar. Is inhaling is very bad. You can ingest it safely and it absorbs toxins. If you're food poisoning, it's safe to ingest or feed to your dog if they ate something they shouldn't, but it is not safe to inhale in your lungs. So that is the dangerous part. Now, it's also important that you're not doing a burn wearing anything but non-flammable cotton or leather or linen, but no plastic or polyester clothing.
And we got to
Because that
explain too to people, participants at the kilns get up to 2,000 degrees, depending on your burning. Like burning manzanita, get up to 2,300 degrees, flame balls shooting out of this thing. So we always advocate for people to wear PPE, eyeglasses, eye protection, cloths, no synthetics. Absolutely. We're very keen on that, unless you're talking to Tabor who wears Crocs to the burns. But generally, we're very safe. And it shows us that these kilns are operating, like, because we have people who wear short sleeve shirts and stuff at the burns. I don't appreciate that, but they want to. And we just let them know that, it does get really hot. And once you're used to the kiln and the wind, and it's just basic fire weather inside this kiln. If you understand fire weather, you know not to stand in front of the flaming front and take a lunch break at the red zone and pick your nose or something. Then we got a question.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if you have your volunteers sign releases, and if you have insurance that covers them participating as volunteers?
We have B&O insurance and we have general liability. Generally, we do have them sign waivers right away before they even, if they're going to feed the kiln and they're going to stand within 10 to 15 feet of this thing, they're signing a waiver and they're going to give away their rights to, because if they want to feed this, they want to be a part of it, that's fine. We do have small coverage, and we notice that coverage when it comes to these kilns, like for operating as a business, it's different than if we're doing education, because then the landowner would take some of that responsibility, or the organization that's going to put on the seminar. But generally, the liability sheets have been really great for us to
So do you recommend in your releases that they wear PPE? So they're signing it saying they release you from liability if they don't wear long sleeve shirts or whatever. Do you address it?
Absolutely. We generally sometimes don't let them near the kiln if they're not willing to wear the right. If they're not willing to wear the right equipment, they shouldn't be anywhere near it, honestly.
Got it.
In a workshop, there's usually more people than are needed to feed the kiln, so more people are there to kind of talk and look and ask questions, and just to stand back and see the volume get converted can be impressive to people that aren't really sure what to expect. And it's in a response to the Crocs. The holes in the Crocs are great temperature sensors. They let me know when I walk on the black coals if there's still hot spots.
I wanted to add one thing real quick. When I actually got to go and help them do this training burn in Hornbrook, the one thing I was very impressed with this kiln, and I don't know if they added to it, but the best thing about this kiln is like when you do an outdoor burn that doesn't hold the heat, like you guys are all curious on how much material you can add to this thing. It burns it so hot that the one thing is this kiln is designed with 2 layers of steel metal, one inner and one outer, and that outer shell is like a heat protector to where you can actually walk right up to this thing. When the day that I went down and helped them burn, I was definitely wearing my PPE and all my NOMEC firefighter gear, and you can literally walk right up to it and barely even feel the heat to continue to feed this kiln. So I thought that was very impressive. And then also how the bottom of it, the way they have it designed, is that the oxygen gets pulled in from the bottom. So like if you have any material that falls out, like say if you put a big log or something up top and it falls out, all that smoke gets pulled right back into the bottom of the kiln and doesn't escape. And I want to say one other thing too, on the smoke level that this thing puts out, I would say no more than probably 0% to 5% smoke that this thing puts out once you get it up and burning up to the degrees that it needs to be, which I thought was very impressive.
Thanks, Joseph. Okay, I have the big question now for us and is cost. So what does the purchasing the kiln cost, and then if you're renting it, what's the cost for that?
We
and
we
for
just
you guys?
purchased the Ring of Fire kiln from Tartar Parts, and with shipping, it was $2,230, and that was shipped up into Hornbrook. And so it's $19.95 or something. It's like just shy $2,000 sales pitch, but with shipping, it's $230 or something in shipping. We would rent them out for like $100 a day to somebody that was trained at least intermediate level, and we usually would charge $500 per operator per kiln to do a paid burn project. But the demonstration, if there's funding available, that's what we would charge. If there's not funding available, we're going to ask you to do a lot of the legwork to plan it, organize it, have water available for us. But I can load a kiln on my car and I will show up because I want people to see this. I want people to learn it. We make absolutely nothing on the sale or purchase of any kiln. If you think that this is too big of a kiln, I would look at a company called Flamewise, and we tend to bring those with us as well. The Flamewise kiln is a home scale. It has 2 sizes, a burn pile or a campfire. I'd recommend the burn pile size, but it's a 4x4 pile it fits within. It's a much smaller version of the kiln, but might be adequate for a small home or orchard where they are using fire routinely, but not big volumes. But the Ring of Fire kiln is the best on the market available for scale size projects. And for $2,000, we've had them last us over 5 years and continue to operate just fine.
Okay, great. I think that's all my questions. I want to make sure, does anybody have any other questions? I'm sorry that our representative for the Prescribed Burn Association up here is not on tonight. They usually are.
Nice. Yeah,
So
we're
it's
working with a lot of-
unfortunate they weren't here, but it is recorded, so we can make sure it gets shared.
Patty,
And they can also reach out to us with questions.
Okay.
Yeah, we
Anna
just want to
Perry
train
is-
crews. That's all we want to do. We love training. That's the best part. Seeing people make biochar on their own. We don't want to be. We want to be outdated eventually.
Giselle, did you have a question?
Yeah, Anna Perry can take this back to the RCD and the prescribed burn folks. There's Tuli Potts. Yeah, Patty Grantham was not able to make it tonight. She's the PBA lead. But she said,
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Anna.
yeah, I will definitely report back and take these things to her. And Patty and I were also at the Mount Shasta demonstration. So we've definitely been talking about biochar and if there, we do a lot of pile burning and trying to do more and gain capacity there. So definitely thinking about, ways we might be able to incorporate these things.
Yeah, we actually think it's pretty helpful to put a kiln at a location, put all your piles into that kiln, depending, center it so you don't have to go too far with your dragging of materials. And you'll start to learn how to pile preparing for the idea of bringing a kiln. But you do the kiln as your primary beginning of the day. And then you start laying the ground fire around it when you've now removed a bunch of that limber fuel just laying around. And now you're just having a quicker burn, pine needles and pine cones to move the fire. And so it's really compatible with the prescriptive fire methodology to have a kiln brought to the situation, because you can burn around the kiln just fine. And the kiln is safe to sit there and watch it just kind of burn while you're, dealing with stuff and dragging a few more pieces you found that are smoldering where the fire went through, but you got a few smoldering sticks, go toss it in the kiln. They'll finish burning pretty fast in the kiln. So it's a safe tool to incorporate with ground fires, and it's an ideal tool for a place that's not safe for a ground fire to try to get it to a position where it can be safe to ground fire maintain.
And we're really enjoying working with fire professionals. It just gets better and better as we move along here. So more the merrier, we say.
So this is just a personal question, interest of mine is, have you had much work and training with the Forest Service in the state anywhere?
We've had some run-ins with them when they come to the seminars and whatnot. Kelpie Wilson really went hard out here for a little bit, and in Oregon. She has definitely done a few seminars with them, but we haven't really been working with them that much as of late. Just more like Cal Fire or other beings. Like we at the Forest Extravaganza, we worked pretty closely with the RCD out there, working with Cal Fire. They were loving it. A lot of the guys were like, "This is great. We love the kiln. We got a bunch of piles that didn't go up, went right into our kilns." And it just solved a lot of the residuals after these burns we're seeing out in the forest. There's always residuals, but when we're burning with ours, they're like, wow, it really cleaned everything up. And we're like, yeah, we just want to make sure the job's done. But I understand like grant writing and stuff. So you get, you got your round one and then your round two, but I get it. Maybe we could just clean it up a bit faster.
And to clarify, Kelpie Wilson is the designer of the Ring of Fire kiln.
Okay.
So she's done some work with them to try to promote this as a tool they can incorporate.
Okay.
We've had a lot of conversations with them when if they've showed up to our events, try to promote our events to encourage people to come.
Yes, right. And we work with a lot of tribes too. I see the S&Cs here. We submitted a grant to them to work with tribes, but we didn't get into Sequoia. But we're getting there. We're going to get more projects in it. If you guys want to write grants with us, we're more than happy to do it to get this going.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jim, take note. Were you listening?
I really appreciate this opportunity to come here and share this with you, and we look forward to continuing this. And if you want to do another Zoom conversation, we're always willing. But if you want to do an actual workshop, let's organize one, or two, or six. Let's make more biochar. Let's reduce some fire fuel problems.
Yeah.
stack functions.
Great. Tuli, did you have a question? Comment?
No.
Oh, okay. Just want to
Kiddo
make
just
sure.
walked in. I apologize.
Oh, no problem. Any other questions, comments for our guest speakers tonight? I want to thank you guys for showing up. Really appreciate it. And yeah, I agree. The more we can reduce our fuels and make
And reduce our smoke.
everything better, yeah, and reduce the smoke would be awesome. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Thank you for the time. You guys have a great evening.
You
You
too.
too.
All right, we'll go ahead and move on in, and we had a great presentation, but I'm gonna move kind of quickly for the rest of the evening unless we have anything big. But Greg, can you update us on our community wildfire defense grant?
I sure can. Give me just 1 second. Let me pull up my documents. We have been pretty busy, actually, kind of taking advantage of this beautiful weather that we've been having. We've gotten 26 assessments in the Scott Valley area completed so far this year. So we've been real busy kind of getting things worked around in there and looking at getting some homes worked on in there in this spring. So we also have 11 homes lined up in the Western Wairika area, kind of looking for more assessments in that area, but moving to get work started, kind of when winter starts not being here anymore. We have 11 homes to finish up in Dunsmuir, with more to add there, hopefully, as well. Three more to finish up in Forks of Salmon when the weather clears. Four more to finish in Scott Bar. We have 16 homes lined up for work in Etna, 12 in Callahan, eight in the Tennant Bray area, and four homes identified for work in Sawyer's Bar, with more on the way. And we're hoping to get all of these done kind of before fire season comes along, and to get all of these homes prepped and ready for the coming fire season. Other than that, looking at some community events we're going to be putting on and attending here soon. We're looking at hosting a few wildfire preparedness workshops in Wairika, a couple in Scott Valley, one in Tennant and Bray, and more to come there. So looking to get things scheduled and just get some workshops put on and all that fun stuff. March 26th and 27th, we will be in Fort Jones at the Rec during the Scott Watershed Informational Forum, and that's put on by the Scott River Watershed Council. So we're looking forward to being there and kind of sharing some information, preparedness information, and having some conversations with folks. I will put my contact information in the chat if anybody would like to contact me with any questions or concerns.
Greg, I just wanted to say, you're talking about you have homes prepared. Can you tell us what this grant is doing for the homes?
Yes, most definitely. So we are looking at doing 100 feet of defensible space around each structures that we are working around, along with providing 50 feet of defensible space or fuels reduction work along ingress and egress routes. So we're going to be we've been real busy. We've actually completed work in Forks of Salmon, Scott Bar, and Dunsmuir. So we've been kind of moving forward, and we just got kind of laywayed by all the weather that came in, and crews kind of having some time off as well. So
Yeah, just want to reiterate what Greg said. I think there's some misinformation out there on not understanding that the CWDG grant we have is not just to do home assessments, but it's to do the actual work around the homes as well. They just the we get a lump of houses in a neighborhood area and do get the assessments done, and then the crews come in after the assessments and do it all the work at one time. So thank you, Greg. Thanks very
yes,
much.
of course. And I wanted to let people know we're kind of making our way through the Scott Valley area. So anybody you guys know, send them our way, along with Western Wairika, Dunsmuir, Tennant Bray, and any communities that we're looking at in the future. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Greg. Okay, Forest Service update. We'll start with the Shasta T. Christine, do you have any updates for us?
Yeah. Sorry I missed last month's meeting, but we had a timber sale release some landing piles to us about a month ago. So we burned another 50 or so acres of landing piles out past Pondosa on our east side project. And then this week we just burned a few kind of administration piles along the Gateway Trail system. We made those piles with the AmeriCorps crew during the summer, and with the moisture coming in, we were able to take care of those and just aesthetically clean up the trail a little bit. Other than that, it's our winter season where we're prepping with contracts and a lot of paperwork. But we will be looking for some spring burn windows when winter starts to wrap up and things dry out, and that could be the McBride unit outside Mount Shasta or Snowman's Hill or Highway 89, which is our large scale project out there. The Azalea timber sale, which I don't know if you guys have seen the chip vans and trucks pulling off of Old McLeod Road and off Highway 89, that's about to wrap up. And then the Esperanza sale by the Mount Shasta Forest as well. And that'll bring it to the end of our report.
Thank you. And Jen, you're up for the Klamath.
Okay. Hello. I guess something to tag on to what Christine was talking about is our 2-forest prescribed burn EA. We're still anticipating a decision in May, and that's going to allow us to do prescribed burns and fuels reduction work in support of those with a lot less analysis. So it's good news for pace and scale. We got our snow survey results in. They're depressing. Our average snow depth is 29.4%, and the average snow water equivalent is 30.2%. And when I'm done with this update, I'll put a link to the press release in the chat. So we have been focused on pile burning. We've gotten just about 1,500 acres completed since the start of the year. We've had partners out there like CAL FIRE and Quartz Valley Fire helping us out, so it's been really good. Let's see. The McKinney EA. So we're anticipating a decision on that. It's within the footprint of the McKinney Fire next month. So that project is mostly fuels reduction and replanting, and it's also going to be putting about $1 million into the Humbug OHV area. And then for the RAC, we have an update also. The charter has been signed by the chief of the Forest Service, but it still needs to go to the Department of Agriculture for final blessing. So that's good. We're making forward progress. We have a new public affairs specialist named Julie Clark, and that is going to be like her thing. She's going to be taking on the management of the RAC for Siskiyou County. And when that charter gets signed, she'll be reaching out looking for some members. Pile burning that we've been doing on the Sam and Scott has been up by Godfrey Ranch in between the North and the South Forks of Salmon River. Mostly roadside right now for ingress, egress, and some fuel breaks around the Godfrey Ranch community. We're also planning this year on doing a 1,000-acre fuel break on Picayune Ridge. So that's going to be a big one. That area has not burned in a long time. Over by Callahan and Masterson Loop, the East Fork Scott project, we've been burning piles out there. Those are all hand piles, and everything within the WUI, which was out at Masterson, has been burned. We still have another 375 acres to burn in there, and we're continuing to chip away at that. Looking at Hayden Ridge, just north of Callahan. I think that's correct. North of Callahan, we're going to be looking at doing an underburn there this spring. over on the Goose Nest, we've got like 3 different projects over around Bray or Lake, Shafter Campground. And between those 3 projects, we've got about 3,000 acres of machine piling that's been happening. We've been burning out there a lot, and we're anticipating by the end of the week to have 1,200 acres of pile burning done out there. Let's see. Over at Happy Camp, the Syad Thin project, which is going to be a fuels reduction project on the east side of Syad, the proposed action for that has been signed. So they're moving into the analysis portion of that. That's going to be roadside treatments and overstory thin. Today and yesterday and probably next week, the Oak Knoll folks are working north of Wairika here, burning hand piles. I think they've got about 70 acres that they're looking at in the next couple days. And the Slater fire footprint is, we've been burning piles in there for years, and that is ongoing. That's all I have, unless there's any questions. You're muted, Jamie.
I didn't want you to hear my dog barking in the background. It actually sounds like a lot of the areas where we're moving into this year with our home assessments will align with what you guys got going. It almost sounds like we had planned that. Wouldn't that be nice?
We did, didn't we?
Yeah, I think so. Right. So that's great. That to have the fuel reduction going on your side of things with us doing the fuel reduction in the communities themselves. That's just a doubled bonus. So that's great.
I have a question. Now that you've just listened to my lecture, are you going to make some of those burn piles that you're planning to do in the next few days? Are you going to try to see if you can rake some out into more charcoal and less ash?
Well, I'll talk to our fuels folks. Hopefully I'll be out there burning one of these days, and I'll just get to do it myself.
Well, if you need any of those people that are going to do the burning, if any of them want to call us, we'd be happy to over the phone dialogue them into understanding how they can modify that result. It's my hope to have more charcoal. That's why I came. So just couldn't help but to toss it in there.
We've got thousands of acres to burn of piles right now. So
thousands of potential biochars to be making and spreading on our landscape. So we hope it'll be a standard practice added into people's understanding. That's why we came to talk about it. Don't mean to interrupt. You can carry on.
No, it's all good. That's why we're here. Conversation, not just talking heads. Conversation is great. All right, thanks, Jen. Okay, Kevin, your CAL FIRE update, please.
You bet. I hope everybody's having a great evening. Thanks for the char presentation tonight. It has my head wondering about some things. It's potential. Let's see. I'll keep it as brief as I can and as fast as I can. So, Jen says that's all that she has, but that's a lot of things that Klamath has going on. So actually, I just got a report back from our folks today that they assisted the Klamath with approximately 400 acres of piles today. So it's big. That's the collaboration. That's what Siskiyou County is all about, is what we can get done together. So that's big excitement there. Let's see. Actually, I'm just going to give you a couple numbers, and this is just the most recent report out from statewide from CAL FIRE. Here in the Siskiyou unit, we put a lot of fire in the ground. We have I was told at one point that we have the narrowest burn window anywhere in the state, but I disagree. I think we have the largest burn window anywhere in the state. So to date, Siskiyou unit, CAL FIRE, has the second highest acreage count for prescribed fire at 2,600 acres, only following our brother unit next door, Lassen Modoc. They cheat a little bit. They burn a lot of tules and stuff, but that's okay. We forgive them for that. They're putting in the hard work too. So 2,600 acres on state lands. And then with fuels treatment and other projects to date, and our calendar is a little different. It's July 1 to present. We have 4,700 acres treated in Siskiyou County on state land. So that's a big thing. This talks about, Watershed Council, PBAs, Fire Safe Councils, CAL FIRE, all these different cooperations. To have nearly 5,000 acres treated in early February, that's pretty big thing that says about everybody in the cooperation. So I just want to touch base on that. Projects, my list could be like Jen's. I'm not going to go there. We're always looking. I went out and looked at a new project today on Callahan Gazelle. We're looking to grab another 5,000 acres. We're trying to set the foundation to where we're going to go in the next 5 to 10 years. We're not doing these small little land grabs anymore. We're trying to grab several thousand acres at a time and just lay the foundation for our future. So big things coming there. New mapping platforms coming to the agency through CAL FIRE in 2027. Some great mapping platforms that are going to give us some tools that we're going to be able to use through communities, through the fire safe councils. We're excited about that. Just new technology that we're going to be able to use. And then it's that time of year. So it's kind of for CAL FIRE and all of our folks, it's training season, it's meeting season. I think I've had 5 meetings today. This is the last one, thank goodness. But we're also getting into chipping season. So we just put out through social media, I believe today, that we're starting to open up some solicitations for chipping planning in Copco, Klamath River, and Hornbrook. So it's starting to be that time of year. So just through our network of the fire safe councils and our cooperators, we're going to start planning some of that roadside chipping. So if by word of mouth, networking, I know we had big successes last year, even all the way downriver to Happy Camp. So it's coming to a theater near you. And that's it. That's all I have. But I always want to have questions or inputs. Sometimes I get tired of just talking or waiting for my turn. So if anybody has any questions, please, I'm here tonight and then I'm gone in the morning.
Not always, Charlie.
Okay, great. Everybody have a great evening.
Thank you, Kevin. Really appreciate you.
I am muted again. Okay. We'll move on to Shasta Valley RCD.
Yeah, I will go ahead and report for us, and I'll include some PBA things as well. Yeah, we have definitely a lot going on too, so I'm sure I won't capture everything, but work on the Kilgore project has started, which is southeast of the city of Wairika, which we're partnered with CAL FIRE on that, as with a lot of our projects. So work is underway there. Out on the Osgood fuel break, we're pretty much wrapping up kind of our initial treatments on that project, and we had a great multi-agency pile burn out there about a week ago. Kevin was a great help getting that set up as well. So if you were there with the PBA, that was fantastic, really great day or multiple days out there. We're meeting with some contractors tomorrow regarding the weed fuel mitigation project, which we're assisting the city of Weed and the fire department with. So you'll probably see some work starting in and around the city and along I-5 if you're passing through Weed. We'll have things going on there. We have received and are getting kind of the final award sorted out for 2 grants, one in the Callahan area and one down near McLeod. So we're working with some private landowners there and some and Hearst with timber as well. So we'll be or Campbell, I guess. So we'll be in McLeod. We're going to be reestablishing and adding to some fuel breaks, and then in Callahan, we're trying to do some work around the community there, and it should tie in well to some other planned projects in that region too. The PBA just wrapped up a RAC grant that we had. So got some great burning done through that, and we're looking for new opportunities for grants there. So if people have ideas or partnership on things like that, we definitely want to continue our progress there. Trying to get some more things planned on a broader scale through our grants with the North Coast Regional Partnership. But we're not quite there yet, but we have some things also in the bucket for like a fuel break on the east side of Scott Valley as well. Yeah, so we're looking for some new opportunities for the PBA, but we've had some great pile burns as the weather has allowed, and hoping for some more broadcast, probably looking towards this fall. And then in general, the RCD is kind of in our planning process right now, looking at grant opportunities for this next year and determining what we're going to go after and where we see the most need. So we've been meeting with different partners, including CAL FIRE, regarding priorities there. But yeah, lots of things going on. So if you have questions, let me know. And if I don't have the answer, I can find the RCD employee who does.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you, Anna. Okay. We have a CWPP updates, Julie.
Yeah. So Jay couldn't make it tonight, so I will cover briefly. I won't give you the whole thing, but except for that, a lot of you already know or have been in the loop. But for a couple of months, actually the contact was back in the summer, for these CWPP projects that we're working on. We made contact with a company called, it's a Vibrant Planet, and Kevin mentioned it. Mentioned the assessment. What happened in between, it's amazing because Jay made the contact after talking to Clint. It's been used in a couple places in already with the Forest Service. And it's an amazing tool that's going to help the analysis work that we do. Basically, when you look at the statewide hazard risk analysis that's in place now, it's at a scale that's very general, and we all know that a majority of our county is red. And so what Jay and I were trying to find is an analysis that can better help us truly prioritize in our landscape and in our communities. So anyway, this model has been beta tested in San Diego County, El Dorado, Amador County, and now San Luis County. And amazingly, this was going on with CAL FIRE. They were beta testing it. And so we sort of were a step ahead, as in, wow, well, we were trying to jump on. We weren't being beta tested. But long story short is, through a lot of collaboration with CAL FIRE, with the Forest Service, with all the people involved, this is going to happen. The Fire Safe Council, the contract, this contract is a CAL FIRE contract through Fire Safe Council, Siskiyou County. And so the funding had to be worked through, and it all came through. Thank you to Jamie. It all worked out. Jay has been working with a lot of meetings, and so that's a really USA Today version of it, but it's gonna come. That it started as of this week. That it was signed. We're gonna do this, and it's going to start with a county-wide rollout where the data will be brought in for the whole county. It will be reviewed, and then it will be wheeled down with these really state-of-the-art tools that they have with this to be at the community level for the greater weed one that we're working on right now, that CWPP. So once the data's in, it'll go to that CWPP, then and we will finish the whole county-wide update. So there's probably questions, and you guys will learn more, but it's going to be a really good tool, and it'll be able, once CAL FIRE develops it or adopts it in 2027, correct me if I'm wrong, Kevin, but the idea behind the whole thing is the update will continue to happen through the state at that point. So.
That's correct. That is the plan. 2027, we should all be on board. And I made my pitch today to Sacramento to say, we have our people doing this. Can we get at the top of the list so that we can all join on and follow in the hard work that you guys are putting in? So appreciate it.
Thank
We'll see
you.
if we get to the top of the list.
Yeah, well, there's a little skin in the game. I think they should appreciate that and put us up there.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kevin.
That's cool. On the CWPP, Julie, do you have a next public meeting planned?
Not yet. We see what's because of the data, the way data works. If any of you guys that have GIS, once you have a big data set, then you can clip it. You clip it to your project. So basically, you're talking Siskiyou County is going to be then clipped to Greater Weed, which consists of Weed, Hammond Ranch, and Lake Shastina. Now, it's three of our communities. So basically, those will be the first in North State CWPP to run this model. It's pretty exciting. And have these tools that have really cool tools with the ember wash and the reality of the science behind it. I think the communities are really like this tool. So there's a lot of anyway, yes. So that's the order. So we get once it's rolled in, then we're going to jump back to weed before we actually do the county update. That was the whole thing, is we're trying to get weed completed first, which we will. I see your cat behind you. Dinner time, he's saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Any
All right.
questions? I mean, you'll see more, you guys. Everybody will.
Okay, thanks, Julie. Emily, do you have an update for us on what you're doing?
I'd love to give a little update. Our 2025 Trinity County CWPP was just approved this past week we finally have all the signatures that we needed for it. So that's a huge lift. We've been working on that for the last like 2.5 years, this update. And then other than that, as far as the Fire Safe Council, we're just preparing for a packed spring of outreach events. I think every other Saturday on my calendar is booked with an event. And then I have at least a couple evening events from now until June. So it is rapidly coming. We're getting things on the calendar. We have some emergency preparedness panels where we're going to be talking to folks. We have evacuation board game nights planned. And then, of course, our Firewise Fair, which is our biggest event in May, is coming up quick. So just getting planning for that. And other than that, that's pretty much what our Fire Safe Council is working on right now. So
great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Emily. And then the Thule for the Sierra Nevada Conservancy.
Thanks.
Do you have anything for us?
Just quickly, we're watching our Proposition $4, which is our next big round of funding available, is kind of held up in a legislative challenge right now, just from a procedural perspective. So we did see some legislation introduced earlier in January that's hopefully going to help speed up the timeline of those dollars being able to hit the ground. So it made it through the Assembly and working its way through the State Senate right now. So hoping in the next couple of weeks we'll get some news as to when we'll be able to access those dollars. So we have 40 million in that pot of money for our landscape investment strategy. And this is kind of our strategy to kind of try and get away from the boom and bust of annual grants, small scale, and really kind of invest at a landscape scale. So thinking large $10 million investments in a landscape. So happy to share more about that. But so we're watching that legislation closely. We do have a little bit of Prop $4 that we expect to roll out this summer. That's $15 million for our wildfire and forest health pot of funding. So guidelines are forthcoming, and hopefully those we can ask for proposals this summer. So more to come.
Thank you. And then Luna, does Mickwick have an update for us?
Sure. Yeah, thanks. It's lovely. I don't usually come on these calls. I wanted to be sure to join today to introduce Paul Kleinfelter, who's also on the call, as our new project coordinator for Happy Camp. Super happy to have him on board. And to hear everything you all have been up to. We just finally got notification that we got Firewise status for Happy Camp on Monday. We've been waiting since last year for it to work through the new CAL FIRE approval process for new communities. So we got there. It's been coming. So we're looking forward, hopefully, definitely before fire season in the next couple of months, to host a Fire Safe Council Firewise project meeting in Happy Camp with partners to talk about priorities, defensible space, home hardening, basically our action plan and how we're going to go about implementing that. We also have a significant amount of funding for public lands implementation. So we've been working with Happy Camp district staff to understand which acres have NEPA and are available for us to spend those obligated funds on. Hopefully we're looking at, strategic locations, those potential wildfire operational delineations, roads, ingress, egress, basically everything that's prioritized in our new-ish last year community wildfire protection plan, as well as some sites we haven't worked on as much, like administrative sites that already have NEPA. We're concerned about just not having enough new NEPA projects in areas for us to be spending our funding. So we're really looking at river access points anywhere that might have more administrative site NEPA to be using that money. We've been doing a lot of burning. I feel like Paul knows more about that than me. I don't get to spend a lot of time out there in the field, but it's been going well. We've been burning in Happy Camp, and we've also been supporting the Salmon River Restoration Council, burning up on the Salmon River. And I hear it's all going well. It's too bad we're in a drought. It's been great for burning and just taking advantage of all of those burn days. Our goal is definitely to burn, as many windows as possible as we can this year. Also supporting the Scott River Watershed Council as much as we can up in that part up there. I don't know, Paul, if you have anything else. That's what's on my mind. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, Luna, if you have any needs or we can work together, anything you have going on down there, please keep us in mind and just keep the contact going because especially with the Firewise, the Fire Safe Council, anything with outreach and education, would love to be involved. So just keep us in mind.
Absolutely. We'll still host our same Firewise event at the schools this year, and
Okay.
you're on our list.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks. And I didn't mean to cut Paul off. Did you have anything, Paul, for us?
No, I don't have anything. I think Luna covered everything.
Okay,
Thank you.
great. Thanks. And then Giselle, Kristen's not here, but any other Firewise community updates?
No, Happy Camp is our latest one. We're really pleased to see that, and there's several others working on it. The bioregional is doing some outreach for fire. They bring a little nuance to the meetings with food. They have a grant to feed Firewise meetings, and so that's really kind of a cool thing to do. But a lot of action in the Firewise community.
Okay. And then I'm not going to just read through the list of our fire safe councils. I don't actually see any on here except the ones that Giselle. Do you have any updates on individual fire safe councils?
Well, as the Fire Safe Council of Siskiyou County, we have projects in individual fire safe council areas. So here in Mount Shasta, we're working on the I-5 east side of between the way station and 89. We're doing maintenance on the east side, 25 to 30 acres, and that's going well. We have Cantera down by the river, 199 acres. The landowner agreements are being signed and we're getting really close. UP Railroad is participating. In the past, they haven't been so agreeable. This time they've signed up large lots of land that we're going to be masticating. We feel pleased about that. And in Bray, we've got landowner agreements completed and we'll probably start we've already got a contractor in place and we'll be going out there probably starting in March. Lake Shastina, we finished almost 200 acres of ingress and egress out there. We have a little bit more that we may do before it closes. And then Dunsmuir's been closed. We did almost 200 acres in Dunsmuir, homes and ingress and egress, along with what we did with the CWDG in North Dunsmuir. So we're closing in down there. Dunsmuir's getting a lot of love. And then, of course, you heard that the CWPP, we purchased Vibrant Planet. We're excited to get that rolled out. And there's probably more, but that's all I can think of right now.
Okay, thanks, Giselle. And if I missed anybody or anything else, this would be a great time to talk. And if not, I don't have the date for our next meeting. It is March. What would the March? Anyway, sorry, I don't have the date. It'll be on the stuff that Giselle sends out to you.
It'll be March 11th. It was the same day as
Yeah, it's the same.
everyone. Yeah.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Jamie, a quick question. when Greg Rendazzo was talking, there was a mention of the awareness preparedness type work. I wonder if next meeting it might be good to do some coordination because I know, the Fire Safe Council, Siskiyou County, I've always helped with one that's at COS for like those communities in the southern area. I don't know how many go on, but maybe a quick discussion or topic to help you folks and know all the different maybe talk about whether you want to combine or do some of these things. I don't know.
Yeah, we can definitely go over our outreach calendar and share that and discuss that. That'd be great. No problem.
Yeah, because I'm happy to I could step back since with I'm doing the CWPP work. Someone else can take it. I'd be happy to give my format, structure to anybody else that's, like Greg or whoever. So, okay. Or Giselle, you guys can,
Thanks, Julie.
Okay.
So Giselle, can you put that on our calendar for next month and the sharing our outreach calendar?
Okay.
Yeah.
Ruby, you got that? Pass that on down the line.
Delegation is thick tonight.
Yeah, it's bad, isn't it? All right. I want to thank again our guest speakers tonight. Appreciate your time for coming and sharing your information with us and hope to see you again in the near future. So, unless I've missed something, we will adjourn for this evening and have a good trip, Kevin. And thanks again for everybody who is attending.
Yes, thank you all. And I'd like
remember to quench your coals.
Yeah. Special shout out to Greg Dinger for all of the tech work he helps us with getting these meetings out there and going. So, Greg, you can probably stop recording.
Yeah.
Thank you.